Hello students, from previous class we started learning about limits and derivatives. In the last class we have seen few important results like what is meant by limit, what is left hand limit, right hand limit, and when the limit of a function will exist. Only when the left hand limit and the right hand limit exist, and if they coincide only the limit of a particular function will exist. And then we have seen what is algebra of limits. We can add, subtract, multiply and divide two functions if their limit individually exists. And also we have seen what is the limit of a polynomial and a rational function. Limit x tends to a, f of x is nothing but f of a. And also we have seen one more important theorem. For any positive integer n, limit x tends to a, x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a is equals to n into a power n minus 1. Based on all these things, we have solved few problems. So in today's class, we are going to extend the concept and we are going to learn few more theorems. First, we are going to learn about limits of trigonometric functions. So we are going to learn limits of trigonometric functions. The first theorem says let f and g be two real valued functions with the same domain such that f of x is less than or equal to g of x for all x in the domain. For some a, if both limit x tends to a f of x and limit x tends to a g of x exist, then limit x tends to a f of x is also less than or equal to limit x tends to a g of x. Hope you understood. If there are two real valued functions in some domain, and if the one function is less than or equal to the other function, and if both the limit exist at some particular point a, then limit x tends to a f of x will also be less than or equal to limit x tends to a g of x. So they have diagrammatically explained if a function is less than or equal to some other function, then at some particular point the limit, the value when it approaches a, this function will be less than or equal to the value of the another function when it approaches the point a, right? This is what the first theorem. Next theorem is sandwich theorem. What is meant by sandwich? Sandwich is our favorite one, right? Most of us like it very much. So how they will prepare sandwich? They will keep layers, right? One below the other. Likewise, if we have three functions, let f, g, h be real functions such that f of x is less than or equal to g of x, less than or equal to h of x for all x in the common domain. For some real number a, the same way, if limit x tends to a f of x is equal to L, which is equal to limit x tends to a g of x, then the in-between function will also tend to the same value. That's what sandwich theorem says. What does the sandwich theorem says? If three functions lie one below the other, one after the other, and if the first one and the last one tend to some particular value at some value of x, the middle one will also tend to the same value, will approach the same value. If limit x tends to a f of x and h of x is equals to L, then limit x tends to a g of x is also equal to L only, right? So these are the two important things. Next, what are we going to learn is also an important result, which is cos x less than sin x by x less than 1. That is, the function sin x by x lies in between cos x and x 1 for 0 less than mod x less than pi by 2. Let us see how this is true. Now let us see how this result holds good. So first we know that sin of minus x is minus sin x and cos of minus x is cos x. So it is sufficient to prove it for 0 less than x less than pi by 2, right? So in this range only we are going to prove the result. Let us consider a unit circle with a center O such that angle AOC is equal to x radians. We have taken this as x. Now line segments BA and CD are perpendicular to OA and join AC, right? So what we have done so far, we have considered a unit circle with the center O, and OA, OC are the radius which makes an angle x radians. Now BA and CD are the line segments perpendicular to OA join AC. Now clearly area of triangle OAC, area of this triangle is less than area of the sector OAC. Sector means still this, right? This is a sector and area of this triangle is less than area of this sector, which is less than area of this bigger triangle OAB, right? The smaller triangle, sector and a bigger triangle. Now what is area of a triangle formula? Half into base into height. So half into base is OA and height is CD. So OA into CD. Area of a sector formula is theta by 360 into pi r square. So theta here is x, 360 2 pi. Then only we can cancel pi and pi. So they have taken it as 2 pi into pi r square. Radius is OA. So OA square. Less than area of triangle OAB. Again half into base into height. Base is OA, height is AB because those two are perpendiculars. Now everywhere OA will get cancelled and 2 also will get cancelled. Here pi will get cancelled. So CD less than x into OA less than AB. Right? Now we have to find out what is this AB and CD. Right? Now in triangle OCD, what is sin x? Sin x is opposite divided by hypotenuse. Since this is 90 degree, this is a right triangle. So opposite divided by hypotenuse. So CD divided by OC. But OC is also radius, OA is also radius. So OC we can replace it by OA. Why are we replacing it by OA? Because we have already in terms of OA. So we are expressing in terms of OA only. So sin x is opposite divided by hypotenuse. So CD divided by OC. OC we have replaced it by OA. So CD by OA. Therefore, we need CD only. CD is OA into sin x. OA into sin x. CD is OA into sin x, right? And also tan x is equals to tan x in the bigger triangle. We can write it as AB divided by OA. Why we have taken all of a sudden bigger triangle? Because we need AB. So we have considered the bigger triangle tan x. This is also perpendicular. So tan x is opposite divided by hypotenuse. So adjacent. So AB divided by OA. So AB is equal to, we need AB only. AB is equal to OA tan x. Right? Now we are going to substitute the value of CD and AB in this inequality. So instead of CD, OA sin x less than x into OA less than AB, OA tan x. Instead of AB, we have written OA tan x. Again, everywhere OA will get cancelled. So we got sin x less than tan x. Right? Since sin x is positive, we are going to divide throughout by sin x. So if we divide sin x by sin x, it will become 1 and this is going to be x by sin x and this is also we are going to divide by sin x. Already tan x means sin x by cos x. So sin x will get cancelled. We will get 1 by cos x. So if we reciprocate throughout, we will get cos x is less than sin x by x, which is less than 1. Hence we proved. So this result shows us the function sin x by x lies in between cos x and 1. This is also a known result which you should remember. So based on this, we are going to prove the next theorem. This also you have to remember, you have to by heart. Limit x tends to 0, sin x by x is equal to 1. This can be easily proved. How? Just now we have seen the function sin x by x lies in between cos x and 1. That is sandwiched in between the function cos x and 1. So we have seen a sandwich theorem which says if the first and the last function tend to one particular limit, then the middle function will also tend to the same limit. So the same way here, as x tends to 0, cos x will tend to 1 because cos 0 is 1, right? Similarly, as x tends to 0, 1 will also tend to 1. Therefore, by sandwich theorem, limit x tends to 0, sin x by x will also equal to 1 only. right? So this can be proved easily by using sandwich theorem. Now let us see how can we prove this result. See here we remember the identity, right? 1 minus cos x is 2 sine square x by 2. Hope you all remember this identity. This is cos 2a formula. What is cos 2a? 2 sine square a, 1 minus. We know cos 2a is 1 minus 2 sine square a. Therefore, cos a is 1 minus 2 sine square a by 2. So, 1 minus cos x is going to be 2 sine square x by 2. Right. Now, our question is limit x tends to 0, 1 minus cos x by x. So, instead of 1 minus cos x, we can write 2 sine square x by 2 divided by x. Again, this 2 we brought it to the denominator. Sine square x by 2 can be written as sine x by 2 into sine x by 2. Now if you see this is limit x tends to 0 sine x by x. If we want to use the result limit x tends to 0 sine x by x, here instead of x we should have x by 2, right? The result says limit x tends to 0 sine x by x is equal to 1. So we need the same value here when that particular value tends to 0. So here we have x by 2. So only if we have x by 2, we can apply that result. But when x tends to 0, x by 2 will also tend to 0 only, right? Therefore, this can be replaced as limit x by 2 tends to 0 sine x by 2 divided by x by 2 into, this is product of two functions. So this limit can be applied to this as well as to this. So limit x tends to 0 sine x by 2. This whole thing is going to be 1. So 1 into limit x tends to 0 sine x by 2 is 0, because sine 0 is 0. So 1 into 0 is 0. Hence we proved. Right? So what does the result says? Limit x tends to 0, 1 minus cos x by x is equal to 0. Right? So far what are all the things we have seen? If f and g are two real valued functions in the same domain such that f of x is less than or equal to g of x, then limit x tends to a f of x will also be less than or equal to limit x tends to a g of x. Next we have seen sandwich theorem, which says if f, g and h are three real valued functions such that f of x is less than or equal to g of x less than or equal to h of x in a common domain, and if f of x and h of x tend to a particular limit L, then g of x will also tend to the same limit. Alright, and then we have seen an important result. Cos x less than sin x by x is less than 1. The function sin x by x lies in between cos x and 1. And limit x tends to 0 sin x by x is 1. Limit x tends to 0 1 minus cos x by x is equal to 0. So based on all these results, we are going to solve problems now. Now let us see how can we solve problems based on all these methods. In the previous class, we have seen few methods to solve the problems. One is the direct way of applying the limit and getting the answer. The other one is if suppose we arrive at 0 by 0 form. After applying the limit, if suppose we obtain 0 by 0, both numerator and the denominator are 0, we have seen how to resolve it. What we should do, we have to factorize both numerator and denominator so as to eliminate the terms which lead to 0 by 0 form. And then we have continued the procedure of applying the limit. And also we have seen problems based on the theorem limit x tends to a, x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a, which is equal to n into a power n minus 1. We tried to bring it in this form and then we have applied the theorem, right? And then also we have seen one more method called substitution method. We substituted the already existing variable by some other variable so as to bring it to the required form, right? And one more thing I told you, while you are doing substitution, you have to be very careful because the limiting process will also change. If the limit is given for the earlier variable, then after substitution you should convert that limiting process to the new variable. If x tends to 0, what will happen to y after substitution? You have to find out, and that limit only you have to take it into account. Alright, so these are all the methods we have seen in our previous class. Now let us see how are we going to solve problems on trigonometric functions. So already in exercise 13.1 we have completed till question number 8 in the previous class. Now we have left question number 3 in between. Limit r tends to 1 pi r square. So the first step is you have to apply the limit to the variable. After applying the limit, if you are arriving at answer, well and good, you can stop the problem. If suppose you end up with 0 by 0 form, then only you should proceed to the next step, right? So here r tends to 1 pi r squared is your question. So which means r tending to 1. So in the place of r, if we substitute 1, we will get pi into 1 square, which is pi is our answer. Now let us see how can we solve this problem. This is also in the same way. Now here x tends to 0. Ax plus b is equal to cx plus 1. So what will happen here? A into 0 plus b divided by c into 0 plus 1, which is nothing but b, right? A into 0 is 0. So 0 plus b divided by 0 plus 1, which is nothing but 1, right? So while solving problems, it may look like we are really substituting the value in the place of the variable. But the actual meaning is not merely substituting. What does it mean? What will happen to the function if the variable approaches the value? Why are we then substituting the value? For that only we have seen so many theorems where limit x tends to a, f of x will tend to f of a, right? So based on that theorem only we are doing these problems. Now let us see how can we solve our next question. Now let us see how can we solve this. Limit z tends to 1, z power 1 by 3 minus 1 divided by z power 1 by 6 minus 1. If we put z equal to 1, both numerator and denominator will be 0. So at z equal to 1, it takes the form of 0 by 0. It takes the form of 0 by 0. So we have to reduce this further in order to solve this problem. But how to reduce this? We cannot reduce this directly, right? So what can we do here? We can substitute. We can try to substitute this variable. So let us take z power 1 by 6 as our x. So I told you, as soon as you make your substitution, you have to find the corresponding limit. So as z tends to 1, what will happen to z? What will happen to x? As z tends to 1, what will happen to your x? X will tend to what? X will also tend to 1 only, because z power 1 by 6 only we have assumed it as x. So z tends to 1. So if we put 1 power anything is going to be 1 only. So x also will tend to 1. So how can we replace our question? Therefore, limit z tends to 1, z power 1 by 3 minus 1 divided by z power 1 by 6 minus 1 is equals to limit x tends to 1. Now z power 1 by 3, how can you write? We have assumed z power 1 by 6 as x. But what will be z power 1 by 3? Z power 1 by 3 can be written as x square. How? Because x square is z power 1 by 6 the whole square. So a power m the whole power n is a power mn. So you have to multiply. So while multiplying, it will become z power 1 by 3. So numerator can be written as x square minus 1 divided by x minus 1. Right? So immediately it resembles what theorem? Limit x tends to a, x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a. Yes or no? Here a is 1, n is 2. Because x also tends to 1, the same limit we should have here. So limit x tends to a, x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a, which is nothing but n into a power n minus 1. So what is your n? 2 into a is 1, a power n minus 1. So which is equals to 2 into 1, which is nothing but 2. So 2 is your answer. Yes. Hope you understood. So you should not ask me, ma'am, how will I know that I have to substitute z power 1 by 6 as x? So it all comes under your practice. As trigonometry chapter, here also it all depends on your practice. If you practice more problems, you will come to know where to start, how to proceed. Alright. So on looking at the question, you may get an idea. This somewhat resembles like the theorem limit x tends to a x power n minus a power n divided by x minus a. So try to bring it in that way. Try to bring it in that form. Yes, hope you got it. Let us move on to the next question now. Now let us see how can we solve this problem. Limit x tends to 0 sin ax by bx. As x tends to 0, again sin 0 is 0, denominator is also 0. So this is of the form 0 by 0. So we have to do some manipulations here in order to solve this problem. So we know when we have sine function, immediately which result? Limit x tends to 0 sin x by x is equal to 1. So we should have the same value in the denominator as that value should tend to 0. Then only the result can be equal to 1. But here we have sin ax divided by bx. So we need ax here in the denominator. Then only we can apply. Alright. And moreover, if we have some value here, the same value should tend to 0. But here we have ax, but here x tends to 0. But we know as x tends to 0, ax also will tend to 0 only. Right. So in order to get ax in the denominator, what are we going to do? We are going to multiply and divide by ax. So this will become sin ax divided by ax. Right. Into ax divided by bx. This bx we kept as such. We have multiplied and divided by ax in order to apply this result. Yes. Now what will happen? Now as per the algebra of limits, we can split. Yes, this x and x will get cancelled. Now this is like a scalar. Limit x tends to 0, lambda into f of x is lambda into limit f of x, right? So we can take this a by b outside, and as I told you, as x tends to 0, ax also tends to 0, sin ax divided by ax. Now we can apply this result, which is equal to what? 1. So a by b is your answer. So here you can write as x tends to 0, ax will also tend to 0. Right? Hope you understood. So while solving problems of this kind, you have to be careful. You have to give your justification. You should not simply write limit x tends to 0 sin ax by ax is equal to 1, because you should not concentrate only on these two values. You should concentrate on the limits as well. You should give your justification and you should change the limit. Without giving the justification and changing the limit, if you apply this answer, even though if you end up with the correct answer, you cannot gain your marks. You cannot get your marks, right? They have their rights to reduce the marks, right? You cannot claim your marks. So you have to give your justification there. Why you are applying, how you were allowed to apply this result, only because the limit tends to 0. That justification you have to give. Remember, right? See the 14th question. Hope you can solve it. So what will you do here? Both the numerator and the denominator have sine function. So for the numerator, we need ax as a denominator, and for this sin bx, we need bx as our denominator. So numerator should be multiplied and divided by ax. Denominator should be multiplied and divided by bx. Then you can separately apply your limiting process there, as we did in our previous question. So give a try. If you have doubts, you can ask me. Now let us see how can we solve this problem now. Limit x tends to 0 cos 2x minus 1 divided by cos x minus 1. As x tends to 0, cos 0 is going to be 1. So 1 minus 1 divided by 1 minus 1. So it is of the form 0 by 0. Right? So as x tends to 0, the function cos 2x minus 1 divided by cos x minus 1 takes 0 by 0 form. So we have to reduce this further in order to evaluate its answer. So what are we going to do? Limit x tends to 0 cos 2x formula. What is cos 2x formula? 1 minus 2 sine square x, right? But here what we have? Cos 2x only. So 1 minus 2 sine square x minus 1 divided by, from where we got this minus 1, which is there in the question. Now what is cos x? Cos x is going to be 1 minus 2 sine square x by 2. Hope you remember. Double angle, we will have single angle. When we have single angle, we will have half angle here. Cos 2a formula is 1 minus 2 sine square x. When it is cos x, it is going to be sine square x by 2. So plus 1 minus 1 plus 1 minus 1 will get cancelled. So we will end up with minus 2 sine square x minus 2 sine square x by 2. So this minus also will get cancelled. 2 will get cancelled. After cancelling one only, we ended up with single term. Then only we were allowed to cancel this minus and 2. Okay. Then so we got limit x tends to 0 sine square x divided by sine square x by 2. So when we have sine function, immediately which result will come to our mind? Limit x tends to 0 sine x by x is 1. So in order to apply the result, we need the denominator as x for this term, and for this we need the denominator as x by 2. And moreover, we have square. So what we should do? We should multiply and divide by x square. Why we have to multiply and divide by x square? Even though the angle is simply x here, we have square in the trigonometric function. So only if we multiply and divide by x square, we can write the term as sin x by x the whole square. Or else we cannot write, we cannot apply the result. So what are we going to do here is limit x tends to 0. Here sine square x, we are going to multiply and divide by x square in the numerator, and the same way we are going to multiply and divide by x by 2 the whole square, right? Why are we multiplying by x square and x by 2 the whole square? Because if we simply multiply by x, the angle we got it, but we have square here, sine squared. So only if we multiply by square, we can write this as whole square, sin x by x the whole square. So we can apply the result, right? Now what will happen here? Limit x tends to 0, as we discussed now, this can be written as sin x by x the whole square into x square divided by, similarly here sin x by 2 divided by x by 2 the whole square multiplied by x square by 4. 2 square is 4, right? This x square will get cancelled. This 4 will go to the numerator. Yes. Now this will become 4 into, as x tends to, limit x tends to 0, sin x by x will tend to 1. So this will become 1 square divided by, we need x by 2. As x tends to 0, x by 2 will also tend to 0. That justification you have to write. As x tends to 0, x by 2 will also tend to 0. Therefore denominator, if we apply the limit, and again this is algebra of limits. When we have a common limit, that can be applied to numerator and denominator separately. So this will become here 1 square again, right? So the answer is 4. 1 by 1, which doesn't have any value. So the answer is 4. Hope you understood what we have done here. We have applied cos 2x formula. We tried to bring it in the form of sin x by x form. Then we have simplified. That's it, right? So with this, let us wind up today's class. Do exercise 13.1, question number 11, 12, 14, 15, 16 and 19 as homework, similar to the problems which we have discussed in today's class. And if you have doubts, you can ask me. Thank you, students.